There is a plethora of highly experienced female arbitrators.
Today I'm speaking with Lucy Greenwood. Let's go meet her. Hi, hello Lucy. Hi, it's so good to see you. So Lucy, I hope you can see this. This is the unicorn badge I received from you a few days ago. Thank you very much. So please do explain, what is the story behind the unicorn?
Well, the unicorn badge, I'm a great fan of little pin badges like this anyway, and I was inspired to order 300 odd badges at the beginning of this year, which to represent really a throwaway comment that I heard. Somebody had said to a colleague of mine, which went along the lines of, good female arbitrators are like unicorns, they don't exist. And we know that's just not true. There is a plethora of highly experienced female arbitrators. And so for me, it's just a little reminder that we exist, we are not unicorns. And what I've done over the past few months is mail out these little badges to female practitioners all over the world. So if you're listening, please do get in touch, send me your address, and I will more than happily put a little unicorn in the post to you. How you address essentially pipeline issues, that's women leaving the profession and not making it through to the senior ranks, is by ensuring at every stage you have balanced representation. I want people to be ensuring every time they run a session at a conference that they have a balanced representation between men and women, because it comes back to the unicorn point. We are not unicorns. There are incredibly experienced, able women practicing in our field out there who are just not getting the visibility that their male counterparts are, and we all have to do our bit to change that.
What is it that men can actually do? And I'll tell you something funny. Since we last spoke, I actually got a little man jar, which is a unicorn box for the guys in our team to throw in some coins whenever they interrupt women when they speak.
I just love that. That's an absolutely great initiative. And it is a real problem. And when you talk about broader diversity issues, what comes up a lot is this notion of microaggressions. And I think interrupting women is a great example of a microaggression. It wears you down. And if you look at surveys into why women leave the profession, a lot of fatigue comes out of the responses. Women just say, I just didn't want to fight those battles anymore. And it's sort of death by 1,000 cuts in a sense. If you're constantly being interrupted, it wears you down. If you're constantly, it's being assumed that you're going to pour out the coffee in a meeting room, it wears you down. If you're the one that's going to be taking the notes, it wears you down. And I think this is where we can have an open conversation across the board and say, try and empathize with these issues and understand that you are the beneficiary of male privilege in the sense that you are not subject to those microaggressions. Yes, you can dismiss them as tiny, and in isolation they are tiny, but they add up.
Hi, my name is Lena, and I have a question for myArbitration. What exactly is the Greener Arbitration Initiative?
Greener Arbitrations initiative, the Greener Arbitrations campaign as it has become, is really an attempt to raise awareness about environmental issues in our professional lives. I think we're all very good in our personal lives at recycling, reducing the amount of travel we do, really thinking before we act. And I feel that there's a tendency to almost leave that to one side as you walk into your office and think, well, that's somebody else's problem. And so the Greener Arbitrations campaign really tries to move that personal mindset to a professional sphere and to say it's up to all of us, whatever role we play in the arbitral process, to make sure that we are doing our job in the most environmentally friendly manner possible. It's clear that we all do need an element of personal interaction. I would much rather be sitting with you in a room having this conversation than doing it through screen. But what we need to do, I believe, once this pandemic is over, is to actually stop and look back and reflect on what we have done as an industry that is really good and what we should really keep and maintain in terms of the way our practices have changed. And this is something we haven't really talked about, and that's our digital carbon footprint. And so
what is that?
So the carbon footprint of an email, for example.
Yeah. What is the carbon footprint of an email?
Every email has a carbon footprint. And so our next iteration of this research is going to try, if we can, to look at how we communicate electronically and whether we are properly taking into account the digital carbon footprint that we're creating there. Because obviously, servers take up huge amounts of energy to run. We need to be better at moderating our email use. So not sending the 2-word thank you emails, not CCing huge numbers of people, shrinking attachments before you send them. All these are steps you can take to reduce your digital carbon footprint. But again, that's something we haven't really talked about yet. So that's next steps. On a conference call a couple of weeks ago, I'll set the scene because I am very fortunate to have 3 chickens who are extremely tame. It was a hot day and I had the doors to my study open and I could just hear this, and my heart sank because whilst it wasn't a webinar, thank goodness, and it wasn't a hearing, it was still an important call. And I really didn't want to have to say, would you excuse me? I just need to escort my chicken out of the study. Anyway, she came in and so I kept pressing mute every time she went. Anyway, she sat down next to me very happily and listened intently to the discussion, which I think was on bifurcation or something like that. And then off she went again.